Welcome back, our dear viewers. As we have promised at the beginning of the show, that today we are going to talk about the preparations that Egypt is making ahead of the COP27, the climate change conference, which will take place next November in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. And in the framework of these preparations, Minister of Environment, Dr. Yasmin Fouad, discussed with Michael Quaroni, the Italian ambassador in Cairo, the bilateral cooperation between the two countries in the field of environment and the preparations for hosting the next climate conference, the COP27. To shed more light on that topic, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Abdel Fattah Badr, Professor of Science, Helwan University. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Madam.
Good morning, sir. Sir, what is the importance of holding the climate conference, the COP27, in Egypt?
It's very important to have the COP27 in Egypt as an international event that will attract the attention of the whole world.
Yeah.
That's a very big event, of course. That's number 27. And Egypt has been successful in organizing successful conferences in the past.
Yeah.
And we hope to be successful with this conference as well. And the preparations is going on very well, and as you have already mentioned, the Minister of Environment was talking to the Ambassador of Italy about preparations and how can the world be engaged in projects that would improve the situation or the environment to cope with the climate change. And to cope with the climate change, we actually have two ways. The first one is the mitigation, and the second one is adaptation. And the position of Egypt is actually adaptation, how to adapt our environment to the expected climate change to minimize the side effects of the climate change. And of course, the most important objective of the conference is to international cooperation to conduct projects that would limit the climate change and would make the life of people adapted to the expected climate change. And in this way, Egypt has been cooperating not only with Italy but other countries as well.
Yes.
We have also received representatives from the Green Climate Fund, and the Green Climate Fund is supporting and funding a number of projects in Egypt. For example, for scaling up renewable energy in Egypt, for resources, for trying to increase water resources.
Yes.
And to actually treat waste and do recycling, and to actually develop new ways of energy that are more friendly to the environment compared to the fossil energy.
Yes, indeed. How, in your opinion, Doctor, can the COP27 climate conference help to raise the people's awareness of the environmental issues?
Awareness is a very important aspect of the conference, of course. And this manner, I think the mass media is doing very well. And it's my it's not my first time to talk about the climate change preparations and so on in the Egyptian television. And I'm talking to you again. So mass media is important, and are doing a good job. The government officials and the Minister of Environment and other ministers as well.
Yeah.
In the Academy of Science as well, there's a number of committees preparing to introduce the efforts of Egypt in adaptation to climate change and to propose projects for cooperation with other countries as well, because climate change is not a local problem for Egypt only. It's a universal problem that affects all parts of the earth.
Indeed.
And I think we are doing very well so far.
Yes. Dr. Badr, what are the topics here which are scheduled to top the agenda of this upcoming conference, which will be taking place next November in the Red Sea Resort of Sharm el-Sheikh?
Probably recycling of organic and solid waste. That would be a major topic. Conservation of biodiversity and how to save our biodiversity from extinction and improve the state of our biodiversity, not only our biodiversity in Egypt, but biodiversity worldwide, because biodiversity is actually the biological resources for the future. So we need to keep biodiversity. We need also to do some projects for the people who may be affected by climate change most, like people in the north coast of Egypt, and how to, because climate change is expected to raise temperature, and that would actually do rising sea levels, and rising sea levels
yes.
in the north part of Egypt. So we need to do some projects to deal with this, to also to increase, to take care of the pests, the health impacts of the climate change. New pests may appear with the changing environment. Of course, also tourism may be affected by climate change. So we need some projects to handle tourism in the future. Agriculture with a major part would be affected by the climate change. So we need to do some projects to improve the agriculture and how the crops in Egypt and other countries be adapted to the climate change.
Yes. Sir, indeed, Egypt did make many measures ahead of the upcoming summit, the conference, the COP27, which will be taking place in Egypt. How do you evaluate here the measures that were taken by the Egyptian administration in order to prepare for the COP27?
Egypt have, as I mentioned, have a successful experience in organizing big international conferences. The biodiversity conference was an example 3 years ago, and Sharm el-Sheikh School, of course, is a very well-known tourist place that attracts conferences from everywhere. The youth conference is actually organized by the government, and the president himself goes there and stays with the students. This actually attracted the whole world to Sharm el-Sheikh. And when the conference, when we say conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, that is attraction by itself. And of course, all government officials and all people involved in organizing this conference are doing very well. What we need more is to do some collective efforts, not to just think, okay, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Environment are the two most responsible ministries for organizing the conference, but this is for all ministers of Egypt, for all big organizations like universities, like scientists, like even the public and the young people should show some activities and participate in the conference. And so far, from my follow-up of what is said in the mass media, from what I see in my field in the university and in the Academy of Science, I see the responsible people for the conference are doing very well.
Yes. Finally, Dr. Badr, how do you see here the achievements, the real concrete steps that were taken on the ground from the COP27 conference, which was held in Glasgow till this very moment?
And the Glasgow was COP26 and has some recommendations. We will actually follow up with the recommendation of COP26. We will discuss what recommendation has been fulfilled and what recommendation needs some more follow-up and more improvement, more updating. So this is a big event that was taking place last year, and we should actually follow up with what happens in the COP26.
Yes, indeed.
In my field of involvement, the Academy of Science, And with my field of specialization, which is biodiversity, we will take what they achieved in biodiversity in COP27 and then propose some new measures to improve the conservation of biodiversity and to think of new projects and to evaluate the projects that has been approved by the COP26.
Indeed. Dr. Abdel Fattah Badr, Professor of Science, Helwan University, thank you very much, sir, for your precious input and for being our guest for today. Our dear viewers, with that, we come to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show, brought to you live by myself, Maisty Rabia, and my dear colleague, Mohammed Abdel Rahim. Till tomorrow with another quiz. Goodbye and have a very good day. Many thanks for watching.